Hello, this is Corentin from Redline, and I'm going to show you how to read StarkNet from Unreal directly. So let's get started. It's pretty simple. The first thing we will need is the Varest plugin. You can get it from the marketplace. You can also build it yourself from your project. There's some more information there. It's open source. So the Varest plugin will be used to query. This is optional, but I recommend using the low-entry extended standard library. Again, free, and most likely you have the source code as well if you need to. This will be used just to convert hexadecimal results from our request. So you could write your own. Converter, but for the sake of simplicity, now I'm going to use that. I'm going to share all the links in the description of the video as well. And there's this utility here, util.turbofish.co, that we will use to get our contract, like the selector of our contract. And so here I'm going to interact with, to read a contract from Redline. So this is a very early contract that we use to get the weather. So it's pretty simple. You put a city ID. So 0, 1, 2, 3, and you put the data ID. So, for example, 0 will be just the general weather code. 1 would be, I don't know, the cloud percentage, 2, and so on. So, but we'll just query 0. So this is just an example. You can use your own contract, and I'll show you how to do that. Now let's go in Unreal. So I have Unreal 5.0.1 here, and the first thing we need to do is to enable the plugins. So here I'm going to type varest. After installing them using the launcher, or in your or by building your projects, here you can type varest, and then you need to check this. And same for the low entry standard library. So I've already activated them, but if you haven't, you'll see that you have to restart the engine here at the bottom. So you check the two boxes, restart the engine, and once that's done, we can start. So I've already done an example here, but I'm just gonna create one new. So I have like a standard level here, nothing going on in there. Just right-click in your content browser, and also you might not see your content browser, so you might want to open it here, or you can press Control and Spacebar. So here I'm just gonna create a new actor. I'm gonna call it BP get StarkNet 2, since I already have one, and then I'm gonna press Enter to open it. Okay, so I'm going to create a new event here, add a custom event, and get StarkNet. So you can call that whenever you like, but for our purposes, I'm just going to call it whenever the game starts, get StarkNet. All right. Then we need to get the Varest subsystem here, and we can create construct JSON request. All right. So we're going to do a post request, and the content type will be JSON. Then let's save this as a variable. So I'm just going to call it request for now. Then we're going to have to bind two events. So when the request is complete, and bind on request fail. So yeah, just a quick overview. So we're going to construct the request, put the message, the data, and then call the request to a certain URL, and then hopefully it succeeds, and then we need to decode and get whatever's inside the response, and then we can use that in Unreal. So here I'm going to add a custom event here. Oh. So request fail. Get response content as a string, just for simplicity. I'm using that, and we're going to do the same thing here. Whoa. Request complete. Is that the request complete? Control D here, and that's it. So now that we have the request, we need to set some fields, and then we'll also call the URL. So just let me just copy all of that and explain what's going on. So I'll go one by one. So all right, so first we have our request. Here you can drag and drop and hold control to get your request. Then get request object. So that's what we have here. And then we just set fields, set string field actually. Here, set string field. And the first field we need to have is the contract address. So here is the contract address you're using. Right here it's hard coded, but you can make a variable here, and this way you could expose that and change it. All right, so let me connect this. Whoa. Then the next one is again a string field. This time the field name is entry point selector with underscores between each words, and then we have this this selector here. So what we want is to get the weather, as I said here. So get underscore weather. That's the function we want to call. So going back to util.turbofish.co, here we can type the name of our function, get weather, and here you have the selector, and you need to put it in hex here, and you can copy that and go back to Unreal and put our selector here. Then you need a signature. So since we're just reading from StarkNet and not writing, so we actually don't need a signature. So this one is a bit tricky. So this one is an array field, set array field. So that's not it. Set string array field here, and so signature here, and we want to make an array. So here you'll just go and make array. And if you do that, you'll have a problem because this is an array with one item that's empty. You want no item, so you just right-click and remove array pin, and that way you'll get a proper empty array. And then the last part is the call data. So this depends on the contract you have. Here on our contract, you need the city ID and the data ID. So we'll have an array. The first one being the city ID, the second one being the index of the data we want. So I'll just put 0 and 0 because that's our data specifically for our call. And once that's done, we're ready for the request to process the URL. Get request here, and we can process the URL. So we're using this URL to get our data. There's an article somewhere about that. I'm pretty sure if you Google this, you'll get all the information about this endpoint. And that's it. So let's see what happens. Making sure that I've called get StarkNet here and get StarkNet 2. I'm putting this object in the world, this actor in the world, and give it a play. Yeah. So here we got the result in the output log. Here I can check. By the way, if you don't have the output log, you can find it here. So yeah, we have a result here. We have result, and this is hex data. So we want to convert that to an int. So it's a bit dirty, but it works, and you can use it. So let me just memorize. So yeah, you don't need to do all of that. That's just if you don't know what you're getting, you can get the response object and then get all the field names here, and for each field name, get the field value. If you want to know the type of what you're getting as well, you can get the type here. But I know it's an array. Like I know the result is an array from here. You see the array, and yeah. So here. I know it's an array. I know there's only one element in my array, so I'm just getting the first element. You could, if you had multiple elements, you could do another nested loop here. Then I'm getting the result as a string. So the string is 0x323, I'm just removing the 0x part, so I'm using the split here, and I'm getting what's on the right. All right, and these nodes are from the low entry standard library, so they allow us to string string to bytes. So yeah, we're converting the string to bytes, the hexadecimal string to bytes. Then we're converting that to an unreal int. I think you can convert these bytes to pretty much anything. Yeah, you can. You have all these types. So useful, and then I'm just printing the result, and this is converting it as a string. So if I simplify that, I don't need to parse anything because I know what's in there. Here I'm going to get the response object, and I know that the field name is result. Then I know, so out of that I get an array, I can get the first element and get a string, and then yeah, here, let me make this a bit straighter, the color green, so we'll see the difference here. And yeah, we have 803 in green, so that's actually our weather code, weather ID. So it's working, and you could save that as a variable and do more stuff with it. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I'm happy to answer any questions. Of course, that's the easy part. The harder part would be actually writing on StarkNet directly, but that's for another time.